Welcome students, this video is for Monday, February 3rd. It's on two variable inequalities. Last class period we learned about one variable inequalities, and a one variable looked like this: 2x plus 3 is less than or equal to 9. And we boxed here, we subtracted 3, canceled out 2x, bring down our symbol, 6, divide by 2, and x is less than or equal to 3. We also learned that if this had been a negative 2x and we divided by a negative 2, we would have to flip the symbol. Okay? A lot of that stuff is still going to be happening today, except today's lesson we'll have two variables in it. So we'll have things like 2x plus 3y is less than 6. And we'll have to solve and graph this. The other day when we were graphing, we did these symbols used an open circle, these symbols used a closed circle, some pointed towards the left, some pointed toward the right. Well, we have new rules for today, so find a place on your sheet to be able to write these down. Less than or equal to means shade down. Less than is down. Greater than or equal to means shade up. Less than, greater than, dotted line. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, solid line. Okay. Still, we got to flip when we divide or multiply by a negative. And that rule still holds over from the other day. Alright, let's get straight into some problems. Alright, so we want to graph these. We got to get them solved for y. We call it y equals still. It's really not y equals in this because we don't have an equal sign, but it's getting y by itself. This one already has y by itself. So then we're going to identify m and b so that we can get to graph. mx plus b. So our m is 2. We like to write that as a fraction. And our b is 3, and we like to write that as a point, so 0, 3. 2 means up to right 1, just like it did earlier in here. 0, 3 means that it crosses over 3 units. Up 3 units. Line, we have to decide whether this is a solid line or a dotted line. So we look at the symbol right there, and that symbol is a dotted line, if you remember the rules from the previous page. Then we have to decide where to shade. That is less than, and less than is always shade down. Less than, smaller things are down below. When we go to graph it, we always start with B. So we go up 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and we'll put a big dot right there. Then we start counting out the slope. So we begin with B, and we move with M, just like we did earlier in the year. So up 2, 1, 2, over 1, up 2, 1, 2, over 1, up 2, 1, 2, over 1. And then we'll draw a dotted line through the graph. Then we're supposed to shade down. So shade down would be shading on this side. And so what that means is any point over here in the shaded red would be a solution for it. So if we were to plug in 0, 0 into y less than 2x plus 3, if we put a 0 here and a 0 there, 0 is less than 2 times 0 is 0 plus 3. 0 is less than 3. This is a true statement. If we picked a point on the dotted line or in the unshaded part, we would get something that was not true at the end. We would get something like 5 is less than 3 or something like that. Okay? And I'll show you an example of one that's not true here in just a minute on the next slide. Okay? So our goal is to get it into y equals. This one is not into y equals, so we have to do a little bit of work. So I'm going to write it over here to the side where I have a little bit of extra room. This one is pretty close. I can go ahead and box that. When it's beside it, I divide it. So I divide everything by negative 2. Okay, well, dividing by negative 2, that's that golden rule that we talked about last class period, and that means you have to flip the symbol. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4x, and negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. So this is going to be the equation that we're doing everything for. So if we look at y equals mx plus b, there's our m. Negative 4 over 1, which means down 4, right 1. Our b is 1, which is 0, comma 1. Our line, we look here, greater than is a dotted line, greater than is shade up. So we always begin with B, so I go 1 unit up, and I put it up. Then I'm going to count out my slope. I move with my M, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, and I'm going to make a dotted line through those. And then I'm supposed to be shading up. Sometimes it's hard for students to understand where up is. If you think of this as a ladder, like say this is a house, and this is a ladder, you would climb up on that side. So this is the side that we shade. This is up. Okay? Alright, so I said a second ago on the previous slide that I would show you one that's not an example of it. So if I pick a point over here, let's say I pick -1, -1. Sorry, -1, +1. And I plug those things into here. This is an x, this is a y. So the y is 1 is greater than -4 times -1. I put that there and that there. Plus 1. So 1 is greater than -4 times -4 times -1 is +4 plus 1. 1 is greater than 4 plus 1 is 5. 1 is not greater than 5. So that is a false statement. Okay. Anything over here would make a true statement. Anything over here would make a false statement. On the line would also be false because it's a dotted line. Okay. Number 3 here. Needs some work to get it into y equals. So y plus 8 greater than or equal to 1/2 x. I'm trying to get y by itself, so I'm going to minus 8 to both sides. That cancels. I get y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x minus 8, because these two cannot be combined. Okay, that is solved. Here's my y, mx plus b. So there's my m. 1/2, which means up 1, right 2. And my b is -8, or 0, comma, -8. My line this time, because of this guy underneath here, is a solid line. Greater than is up. So I begin with b, so I'm going to go down 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I put a good sized dot there, and I'll go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. I'm going to draw a solid line this time. And I am shading up, so this side is what's getting shaded. Okay, I could test a point here. I like to always test 0, 0. That's usually an easy one to test. I can plug it into the original or my new one. If I do the original, y plus 8 is greater than or equal to 1/2 x. This would be 0 plus 8 is greater than or equal to 1/2 of 0. 0 plus 8 is 8 is greater than or equal to half of 0 is 0. 8 is greater than or equal to 0, so that is true, and it should have been because it was in the shaded spot. Okay. I want you guys to do 4 on your own. You can pause the video at this point and do 4 on your own. We're going to skip to 5 on the video, so if you need to pause it now, pause it so you can do number 4. Okay, number 5 is all out of sorts. It needs to be put into y equals. So it's going in standard form here, so we're boxing our 4y. We're going to add 4x to both sides, bring down the 4y, bring down the greater than or equal to. This gets written in mx plus b form, 4x plus 8, divided everything by 4, by 4, by 4. Y is greater than or equal to 4 by 4 is 1x, 8 by 4 is 2. So I'll get y equals mx plus b. So m is 1, or 1 over 1, up 1, right 1. B is 2, or 0, 2. Line under it, solid line. Shading, this is greater than, so this is shade up. So I begin with B, so up 2. Then my slope is up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Solid line through there. Shade up. Okay. I can do my test point down here, 0, 0. So y is greater than or equal to 1x plus 2. 0 is greater than or equal to 1 times 0 plus 2. 0 is greater than 1 times 0 is 0. 0 is greater than 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 is not greater than 2. So that worked out, because that is not part of the solution. less than negative 4. Well, if we rewrite this, because what's missing here? The x. So it's 0x minus 4, so this would be mx plus b. So our m is 0, which means 0 over 1, so that's up 0 over 1. And our b is negative 4, or 0, negative 4. This is the dotted line. And less than is shade down. So I go to negative 4 and put a dot. 1, 2, 3, 4. I go up 0 over 1, up 0 over 1, up 0 over 1. And you can see that I get a flat line, and we know that 0 life is a flat line. So this will be a dotted line going across there. Maybe I'll do it in blue so you can see it a little bit better. And then I'm supposed to shade down. Okay. So these points down here all should work for that. All these points down here should be less than negative 4. Alright, so this is the opposite. Now we have to identify what's the MB line shade, and we have to write the inequality. Well, we know these are going to be Y. Okay? So the first thing I look at is the type of line. This is a solid line, and this is shade down. Well, this gives me a good start to it, because down means that it's less than. Solid line means I put a line under it. So I'm about a third of the way through my problem without even having to worry about the slope and everything else. The next thing that's easy to see is where does it cross. This crosses right here, which is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, negative 9. Now I know this has a minus 9 on the end of it, so now I'm about 2/3 of the way done with my problem. I know it's going to have an x in it. I just have to find the slope now. So I have to go and find another good point. So here is another good point right there. And if I count out the slope, I always go from left to right. That's down 1, right 2. So it's down 1, right 2. So my slope is negative 1/2 x minus 9. Okay? In class, we'll show you how to type this into the calculator under y equals and verify that that is the picture that you get. Alright, same type of situation here. First thing I see is it's a dotted line. That's easy to see. And this is shade up. So I go y. Shade up is greater than. Dotted line means I do not put anything underneath it. I know it's going to have an x in it. I go look to see where does it cross next. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So it's minus 5 on the end. And now I just got to count out the slope. So I got to find where it crosses next. It looks like right there. So that is up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1 over 4, or 1 over 4, 1/4 x minus 5. Okay, again, we'll be able to type this in y equals in our calculator and verify it in class tomorrow.